Huh? 1.13 has finally been released, guys, and we're going to try to get through this update material as painlessly as possible. Guys, there is so much going on in this update. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with turtles. We have now been added turtles into the game. Of course, we've been seeing these through the snapshot. And turtles are a really cool mob in the fact that they're the only mob we have so far that will actually lay an egg, guys. The one that's pregnant there is digging and going to lay an egg. And we'll see that here in just a second. We'll come back here in a minute. But our eggs look just like this. And being that it's night, they now have the opportunity to hatch. And that happens gradually and a little bit at random. Let's see if we can see this one having laid the egg. Get some XP for breeding. There's the egg. And these eggs have the possibility of actually being laid 1 to 4 at a time. I've been testing for quite a while, and I realized that with a block over top of... Basically, the egg needs access to the direct daylight or it won't hatch, which means that you can use these turtle eggs in your homes, in mob farms and stuff like that, and won't have to risk them actually hatching. And the thing about mob farms is that mobs hate turtle eggs. Are you gonna hate the turtle egg, buddy? Yeah. They don't like it. Zombies don't like it either. Zombies don't like them either. Skeletons, all the mobs, all the undead mobs don't like them either. So you can actually collect these eggs with Silk Touch and pick them up in your inventory, and they'll look just like this egg here. You know, you can place them down wherever you like to. Up to 4 at a time. And yeah, so also we are now able to get these scoots, which drop from the baby turtles. Let's see if I can get a baby turtle. Can we get a baby turtle? Baby turtle? No. Yeah, there's a bunch of baby turtles. Also, undead mobs hate the baby turtles. When these baby turtles actually grow up, they'll drop this scoot as they grow up. And then we can craft, with this scoot, we can craft the helmet here. And this helmet allows us to have extra 10 seconds of underwater breathing, which is kind of like adding respiration. Not that we can tell because we're in survival, in creative. But the other thing about this turtle shell is that we can actually brew a potion with it, called the Potion of the Turtle Master. It gives us slowness 4 or resistance 3. It's the only resistance we can get outside of the beacon. And that's pretty cool, but you got 3 levels of that. You got level 1 is 4 and 3 at 20 seconds. And then you've got 4 and 3 at 40 seconds. And what is that? 6 and 4 at 20 seconds. So you'll modify these the same way you would a normal potion. We also have the Phantom Membrane, which we can use to create potions of slow falling. And you've got 1 level and level 2 of that, actually. So this is just extended, just like a normal potion would be. The Phantom Mob has now been added into the game. A pretty scary guy. He is undead, and during the day he will burn up. And he spawns when you're above sea level with no blocks above your head. There's another one up there from earlier. Oh, actually there's a bunch from where I haven't slept. Okay. After 3 days of not sleeping, after 3 days of not sleeping, they will attempt to spawn and take you out. The other mob that we have been added is dolphins. Dolphin. And let's also get out a lead. Yeah. Dolphins are cool. You guys also may not know, but you can put them on a lead, and they'll stay on that lead. I'm going to name my dolphin Flipper when I find one. And Alright, we fed the dolphin. Let's see where he leads us to. And he should be leading us to the nearest shipwreck, ruin, or buried treasure. And it looks like he is leading us to this shipwreck right here, which we already knew was there, obviously. But inside of here, we get some lapis, some nuggets, a little bit of stuff. And there even may be a second chest. Yeah, here we go. Down here. And appears to be nothing in the chest. Okay, there we go. Buried treasure map. And let's see where that leads us to. And X marks the spot. Buried treasure map. So dolphins do that now. And we'll see if we can figure out where to do that here in a minute. Let's go on to the new mobs here. We've got the drowned mob. We also have a drowned mob holding a trident. You have to kill naturally spawned drowns to get tridents. Drowns also drop 100% of the time. They drop the Nautilus shell. And then what we also have here is zombies. Zombies will turn into drowns. And if we drowned a husk, he will turn into a zombie and then turn into a drowned. And the other thing that I wanted to address now was that baby zombies now burn in the daylight. That is an amazing change, something the game needs. These guys aren't quite so scary these days. Witches, while we're waiting on these guys to drown, you'll notice really carefully their nose wiggles and goes up and down. I named the witch Samantha as a bewitched pun. But yeah, these guys should be, as you see, they're shaking now. They'll be converting here in just a second. And this guy's going to be a drowned. This guy's going to turn into a zombie. Come on, zombie. Yeah. And then he'll convert into a drowned, just like this guy as well. Let's get into new blocks. We have all the variants of trapdoor now. We have all the variances of buttons. All the variances of pressure plates. And then we also now have our log blocks, and we can make all of our log blocks into stripped logs by right-clicking with an axe. And so we have 6 stripped logs from our log blocks. And we also have the wood block, which is made by crafting any log block. We can take our log blocks and let's put a crafting table down. We take any of our log blocks, we can do in a 2x2 like that, and it'll turn into the wood block variant. And get our axe again. Also, from the wood block variant, we have the stripped wood by right-clicking on the axe. That means it has the same texture on all 4 sides the same way. We've also been added all of the slabs and stairs for Prismarine, and pumpkins now have been changed as well. They no longer come with a face on them. You're going to have to shear them with shears, and when you do, you'll get seeds. But you must use the faced pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, to make golems, because they won't spawn with a normal pumpkin. Let's move on down here. They've now made it so that with Silk Touch, you can actually obtain the stem block of the mushroom, which is an amazing thing because these are great for pillars. I don't know who he's throwing at. Okay. So yeah, you got these, and I think once you Silk Touch these, you can actually see the porous side. We actually have all 4 sides on here. But yeah. They've also added in, as we can see in the ocean, they've added in a bunch of actual fish. There's a tropical fish here. There's cod and salmon. Where's some fish? Yeah. Here's some more tropical fish here. Just a lot of ambient life, and we are able to capture those fish in buckets, and when you go fishing with these guys in buckets, these guys won't despawn. And you can place them in your aquarium and they won't despawn. And you can also pick them up with a bucket, like I said before. Is there a bucket somewhere? Bucket, bucket, bucket. I think there's a bucket over here. Yeah, if I get and you gotta have a bucket of water to do it. But if you want to pick them up, you can pick them up with a bucket of water. And the actual tropical fish here could be any of the many variants of tropical fish that's been added into the game. They've now made it so that you can add item frames to the floor and to the ceiling and place maps in them, so you can make all kinds of cool patterns with this. You can now actually add vines to the roof and not just to the side of things. They've changed hitboxes in the game, and if we hit F3 and B at the same time to turn on hitboxes, just like that. Oh, he's going to town. Yeah, you can see that you can't actually see the hitbox of certain things. Like I can see the hitboxes of these, I can see hitbox of him, but when I look at the hopper and the anvil, and you can just barely see the hitboxes. And that before you couldn't have opened this chest, but now you can, and that's amazing for Redstone Contraptions. And the hitbox is realistic in the fact that even when I step up on the anvil, it gives me a step up, where before it wouldn't have done that. They've changed it so that chests can now be placed side by side just by holding shift when you place them. And that way we don't need trap chests for that reason anymore. They've made it so that when you mine... Well, I better go to Survival for this. When you mine snow layers, you'll actually get the snow layers in return instead of the snowballs. But if you use... let me have that, please. If you use a regular shovel, you'll still get the snowball. So you want the snow layers, use the Silk Touch. And I love this change right here. Let's go down to this end down here. They've now made it so that when you smelt items, the furnace will now hold infinite XP. And can fill this hopper up, and whatever we pull out of here, if this has been running for 4 hours and we've got a full double chest, it'll actually allow us to lock this so that nothing will come out. That'll stay in there, and then we will get the XP for that. Of course, I'm in creative, you won't see it, but trust me on this, if you run that for 10 hours, you'll have 10 hours worth of XP in this furnace now. You also have added the kelp block, which we're using to smelt here. Let's go ahead and lock that, and we'll try the XP here in a little bit. The kelp block will actually smelt 20 items per block, which is the best in the game. Although it does take 9 kelp to be smelted first to make the block. So in order to make a kelp block, we need to have dried kelp. In order to make the kelp block, you got to have 9 kelp block or dried kelp to make one. So you actually have to smelt it and use the kelp itself to smelt it eventually. They've also added the double smooth slab here so that it looks like a solid block instead of, which I think is a pretty nice thing to have finally added to the game. We now have 17 shulker box colors because they've added the purple shulker box back to the game, like they had in 1.12, I think, initially, and then they had reverted the purple back to this guy. So now we have purple shulker boxes, so there's 17 different ones, and we can actually use the cauldron trick, like we can use it on leather armor, to undye shulker boxes now. Of course, you only get 3 chances at that before it's empty, and you got to fill it up, but that's pretty cool. So I think you can still just re-dye them. Let's come back this way, and we've added coral blocks to the game, and we have live coral and we have dead coral. And this is tube coral, that's brain, that's bubble coral, that's fire coral, that's horn coral, and this should also be horn coral fan and dead horn coral fan. So you have all these variants here, and we're actually able to get away with having the coral blocks and the fans on waterlogged blocks so that they don't die. And actually, speaking of that, waterlogged blocks, let's get rid of that, F3 and B. They don't actually have to be touching the water on a waterlogged section. This whole block counts as a water source. And so when this is touching that, it doesn't dry it out or kill it, which is why we can get away with placing these here. But it's also pretty nice that you can place these straight on the ground, and even though they die, you still kind of get that pattern. But there's also another block. It's called, there's tube coral for the blue, brain coral, bubble coral. These are actually corals as well. But you can't place those above land, and they can only actually go on the top of blocks, whereas these are the same block as those up there on the side. I just think they look prettier on the ground, right? Yep. Ice, big change to ice. Ice mechanics are, we have boat roads, and boats move pretty fast on packed ice and regular ice, but items and boats and all will actually have a whole lot less friction on this blue ice. And due to popular demand, Mojang actually added crafting recipe for the packed ice. And if we have 9 ice, we can make 1 packed ice. And if we have 9 packed ice, we can make 1 blue ice. This is going to save a lot of resource on the on spiked ice planes and that. In another note, they've actually changed dispensers so that we can now use damaged bows to actually make a dispenser now, which means all those bows we've been throwing away from skeleton farms, now we can use those, which is a pretty good change. So back down here, we talked about waterlogged blocks, and waterlogged blocks are a lot of things, and we can use that. All of these things are waterlogged, which is a new thing to us in 1.13, and something we've been wishing for a long time. If you were to waterlog a block from above, let's see, you actually get, maybe that's not the best example. Yeah, there you go. Let's dry that up. If I were to waterlog, let's say if I waterlog this block right here, and we can look underneath, it's actually got a wet texture. So that's one way to know that a block is waterlogged. And we're going to come back to this here in a second. And bone meal. We have sea pickles now. And sea pickles can be, they've actually got to be on coral, excuse me. You can place them anywhere, but they won't actually farm anywhere but on coral. So when you bone meal them, you'll get 4 on that block, or you can bone them up to a 5x5, and they'll continue to spread. So sea pickles actually emit light. I don't know if we can tell that or not here. When you place them down, they change the light level tremendously. And that's just a light source for us under the water. And you can't actually tell from the fact that I think my gamma is hacked. We've already did that. What is this? Dispensers. Coral, we've done all that. Let's look at maps now. There's a lot of things on the map that used to not be able to be seen. Like all these shulker boxes, we wouldn't have been able to see those before. They've changed that. We've got a red and blue glass right here beside us. And that's to show that these things will actually render on the map now, even though used to you would have had to have a solid block underneath them for them to render. And now they don't. And the same thing happens with carpet. Used to with carpet, whatever carpet was on the bottom would render and the one on top wouldn't. And now it just renders whichever one's on top, which is a good thing. Yeah. So also we can take our map here, and if we right click on the map, right click the map on this, yeah? Orange. You see it says orange, and it shows up an orange banner. And that's because I named the banner orange. And if I right click that, now we show red. And that's because I named the banner red. So we can actually mark maps now with banners. And that can be your banner that says your name, which is pretty cool. Another thing to get into here is the new weapon in the game, which is a trident. And we have these enchantments: loyalty, impaling, riptide, and channeling. Loyalty means when I throw at this guy here, it'll come back to me. I believe that's impaling. Impaling means I'm actually going to do quite a bit more damage to him, but I still have to go back and get that. And Riptide requires us to kind of be under the water. And Riptide we don't actually throw. But if we can get an F5 here and do this, it sends us in this weird thing here. And I believe if we look up and do it, it'll actually throw us out of the water pretty good, like a dolphin, which is pretty good. So if we were going to attack a mob with this, under the water is the best place to do it. There's dolphins. It brings us to another point that dolphins now will attack you, and they're not going to attack me right now, but because I'm in a creative mode. Yeah, I think we actually hurt the dolphin pretty bad. But if we were in survival mode, the dolphins would actually gang up on me and attack me. Like a polar bear, if you attack it, it'll attack you. And these can also be used with elytra. And if we set the weather, let's just go ahead and do a thunderstorm. And if we in the rain, it'll throw us off. And if we're using our elytra, we can use these just like rockets, and we can fly. And I went ahead and set it to thunderstorm so that we could use this channeling right here. And let's take this channeling and strike that guy right there. Pretty awesome. And we actually got, there was a villager in here, and I was going to show you that I changed him into a witch. And we can also, let's take this creeper and see if we can't get a charged creeper here. Oh, I killed him. How about this one? There we go. We got a charged creeper, a pigman, and we got a witch. So all the things you could do. So that means getting mob heads are a lot easier. Now some of these enchantments are able to be used together. I think impaling and loyalty and channeling and loyalty can all be put together, and of course they all have mending and unbreaking on them as well. And so it's quite a useful thing to get in the game. And let me double check I didn't miss anything. Yes, the conduits. There are 3 levels of conduit here. This is the first level. You gotta have the 3x3 ring for it to activate, and then you gotta have 5x5 of prismarine around it. It could be any prismarine block actually. Level 2 looks like this. And then finally the biggest level, and it gives you underwater breathing, underwater vision, and at the strongest level it'll actually attack mobs within an 8-block radius of it. And this one gives us up to 96 blocks radius. Another thing is when you add a beacon into the world and you set it up, there's actually a sound associated with that now. And let me go ahead and clear the weather. Go, weather clear. Put that on. And I believe if we, well, there you go. There's the sound. That's a pretty cool sound. I like that. So the natural thing has been added. We've had Kelp Block added to the game. There's shipwrecks added to the game where we can find the buried treasure maps and different things. There's treasure to find on treasure maps. There's underwater ruins. Bubble columns have been added. Soul Sand pushes you up. And magma blocks pull you down. You can actually now swim through by holding shift, or I mean control to sprint. You can actually swim, the swimming animation, and you can actually swim through one block holes there, just like so. And I'm gonna swim around and see if I can't find a underwater ruin to show you guys, and some underwater ravines. Alright guys, here we go with an underwater ravine. And yeah, that's where a lot of bubble columns will form. You'll get obsidian underneath the water. And yeah, seagrass and kelp. And a pretty cool place. I was hoping to find some underwater ruins. Try it one more time. And see if we find one. Here we go. Good luck this time. Here's an ocean ruin. They will always come with a drown inside and a chest with some loot. And sometimes you actually have to dig for the chest. Also some mossy cobblestone. Yeah, a lot of times the chest is actually buried underneath. So keep that in mind when you find them, guys. This time it was luckily it was there. Alright guys, one of the final things I wanted to show you was... Oh, that looked weird. It looked like a flower or something dancing around those salmon. Was the new iceberg biomes here in 1.13, and also the fact that polar bears now spawn on the ice, which makes them more readily available for us to find, right? So, got our blue ice, we got our packed ice. And I think that's pretty much all they're made up of, besides from the ice on the water. And this is one of my favorite new things in 1.13 here is these iceberg biomes. Makes it a lot easier to get the ice than having to find ice spikes plains or whatever. Anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video, and I hope that you learned something there. Look, guys, my name's in the background. I hope that you did learn something from this that you didn't know about Minecraft 1.13 already. And until next time, guys, this has been Ike, bringing you ideas and tutorials to help you survive and thrive in Minecraft. Until next time, happy Minecraft, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.